Hello everyone, my name is Kwan. This video is about Introduction to WebGL. Today's topic gonna be animation in 2D. The title, I call it Bouncing Disc. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna build a disc with color gradient here. Then we're gonna work into a pie with solid color. And the next thing we do is you rotate the pie. And finally, we let the pie moving around in the box and bouncing back and forth using WebGL. This is script number 1 of this video. Before going to the detail of the script I like to show what the script can do. If you look at the right side, there's a circle and there are about 30 subpie. So if you refresh, you see different color every time because the color is random. Now if I set the numbers to, let's say 100, you see there's a lot of subpie in here. Let's say 1,000. See, let's say 1 million. See, that's a lot of pixels here. Now on the other hand, if I want to set to 3, I see the triangle. The triangle is basically the core shape of WebGL. You build anything with triangle. In WebGL, there's no such thing as rectangle. You have to build with triangle shape. Now let's say you can go to 4, 5, 8. Now we will go over the detail of the script. This script assumes that you have some knowledge about what is a shader and what is a buffer for WebGL, because those are two ingredients for WebGL. The shader is basically the program or instruction. The buffer basically data. If you don't understand, I suggest you go back and look at the video about the shader and the buffer. To summarize the task in the function main, the first thing we activate WebGL by these two commands, and the next thing we create a program or initialize the shader, so we have a program to work with. And the next thing we create the data, the vertex, the color in this function, which this is our main function, create circle vertex here. We're going to talk about that more. The next two items is basically we create the buffer data. We have one buffer for color and we have buffer for vertex. And finally we draw them. Here is the shader code. And here's a function init buffer which we use up here. And finally we have the Initiator. This program are very typical. Sometimes they put on library. On this Initiator, basically we create a vertex shader and we create the fragment shader. We compile it and we attach to the program and we return the program. That's what we use up here. You can put this function into a library, so you don't have to repeat because we keep on using this. For the init buffer, first we create buffer, then we bind to the array buffer, and finally we dump the data in. And we have to tell WebGL what is the buffer for, what attribute, and we link to the attribute with this 3 command here. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the shader code. Okay. In up here, we have used 2 variable or 2 attribute. In shader, they call attribute. In JavaScript, one variable. So we use color, underscore color, and underscore xy. And on the shader code, we have we declare the attribute with vector of 2 underscore xy. For the color, vector of 3, and we use this variable to create the GL1 position. The output of the vector code is varying underscore color with an S here. Why vary? If you look at the right side out here, you see the color it vary. That's what the keyword varying. The output of the vector vertex code here is varying underscore colors. This variable attribute will be fit in the fragment. And if you look at down here, you see the pixel color had been changed. At the vertex, right down here, we get one color, but the color inside the shape got changed to different color. That's what the keyword varying. Before I can explain what is the function create circle vertex doing, it's essential that you understand how does the WebGL draw this shape in the draw array command here. These are the basic shape that WebGL can draw. Either the line or the triangle. That's it. There's no rectangle. There's no circle. A line or rectangle of the triangle. And most times you use a triangle. To create a rectangle, basically you need two triangle and stitch together. To create a circle, you need a whole bunch of triangle. And one of the vertex is the same common. The question that is when to use triangle or triangle strip or triangle fan. Now for the triangle, to create, let's say a rectangle, you need 6 vertex. So the more vertex, the more data and the more resource the system requires. So you want the low number of vertex. To create a rectangle, it requires 6 vertex. Now for the triangle strip and triangle fan, you need 4. So you require less resource. The difference in vertex between triangle and triangle strip and triangle fan only 2. Now, does it matter? Well, in practice, there may be million or 10 or million of triangle. So you do save a lot of memory and CPU resource. Now, the question, when do we use triangle strip and triangle fan? That depends on the configuration that you like. For the circle, the fan is more appropriate because it's at a central point. For the rectangle, probably you should use triangle strip. So in lesson 1 here, we will use triangle to draw the circle. And here is a function to create the circle vertex. The first thing, we create the array vertex and array color so we can save for later use. The first thing we do for the vertex is to push X and Y. Basically, the first vertex, it will be the center of the circle. So we have to push X, Y at the center of the circle, and we give the color white. That's why you see a lot of white from the center. When we call this function create circle vertex, X0 and Y0 are the center of the circle, and we give the radius of the circle, and we also give num. Num is how many pieces we want to divide the circle into. In this case here, we divide in 6. We can divide in 1000 or 6 or 3. Minimum is 3. Maximum is unlimited. In this for loop here, we create the position of the vertex and the color for each vertex. Basically, this is the equation for the circle to find the point in the perimeter of the circle. Each loop here, we increase I, so the angle change, so we can get different x and y for every turn, and we set into the vertex for the vertex position. For the color, we set the random color into the colors array. So each loop here, we create one vertex that include XY position and one color for that vertex. And finally, after the loop done, we this function return two array called vertex and color. And when we call this function up here, this array 0 is basically the vertex, and we use that to imply the shader variable underscore xy, and array 1, which is the color, we link it to the shader variable underscore color. We use the array 1 to create a buffer, and we call it buffer for color, and array 0 which link to xy vertex, we create a buffer and we call it buffer data. Okay, now we're ready to draw. These two commands right down here is basically to set the background color. Right now we set to black. Let's say we set to something red. Save it and run it. You see red? So this command set the color, but it's not actually right yet. So this command, it actually do the right, set the background. So if we comment it out, and you will see that the background of the canvas is white. So clear color is set the color for the background. G1 clear is basically set, do the actual background setting. And finally, we draw with the draw array, and we use a triangle fan. Now, we just complete explaining how to draw a circle with a lot of pi. Can we draw another circle? Yes, we can. I have put this command in. Here, I create a new circle. So basically, I use the create circle vertex again. I give different number. Then I buy the buffer, the data buffer, and I give the vertex 2. Similarly, I create by buffer for the color, and I give color 2. And finally, I draw it. And this is a color. Now, actually, if I don't want to use a different color, I can comment out the color. Change this guy to 10. So basically, I use the same color, because I use the color of this previous command. This video is almost 15 minutes long. I will stop here and I will continue in the next video. See you then.